Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Yes, your eyes do not deceive you. I have a guest this morning, my friend Karen, who's from Canada. So here we are. The spirit world sees all, and it actually does. I've had so many reminders of that this week, which I may or may not talk to you about as we go along. However, before we begin properly, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Gradle, who is squished between Karen and I. Not really, but anyway, he's standing to my right side. And I'd like to say good morning to Chris and also good morning to all of you. I'm not sure, Chris, is everybody clocking on? Is everybody?
Yeah, there's quite a few on already.
Okay, that's good. I'm going to wriggle a minute. Sit still, Karen. I'm going to wriggle a minute and get myself comfortable. And so, yes, so let me think. So, this last week has been an interesting week for me. I've had my darling boy and my darling girl here for the week, which was wonderful and exhausting and fantastic. Unfortunately, my daughter work. She does a lot of her work from home. She goes into the office from time to time, but she works a lot from home. And even though they came for weeks, for sort of 3 solid days, she was working and working and working. So in one way, it was good because I had Reese to myself. On the other hand, Reese, he brought a ton of homework with him, which I was so frustrated about. I don't know how all of you feel, but I feel, when kids, he has just turned 12. He's only 12 years old. I mean, come on. Surely they don't need to have tons and tons and tons and tons of homework. Surely they need playtime and surely they need relaxing time and so on. But anyway, so while his mother was working away, poor Reese had to work away as well. However, he did have breakaway time for the pool. He had breakaway time for us to do stuff together. And so it was just a really great having them here, really great making his favorite food. Yorkshire pudding is one of his favorite foods. So we had a very busy, but a really great time. The weather was not as warm as we'd have liked it to be, but still he was in the pool every day. And so, that was great. Um, I've been talking recently. I had someone who had a consultation with me who, by his own admission, is very depressed and always depressed and finds it hard to see the good things in life and finds it hard to, lift up. And he wanted some advice about how to make his life better. And, we can give all sorts of advice. I'm sure anyone listening, some of you might have the same issues, but anyone listening will know that the remedies for making your life better, for making your life happier, are often, not always, but often in your own hands. And there are so many things that you can do that can make your life better. I mean, there are people who are bedridden, there are people who can't sit up properly, there are people who are sick and traumatized in their sickness, and we know that that those people how helpless and how difficult they must find their lives. My own experience, however, with dealing with people who are sick, who are in so many ways disabled, is that they often find the joy because they don't have much choice in the matter. They can either lay and be miserable, or they can lay and find, find a sense of humor somehow or another. And I have been so impressed over the years with my healing, going into hospitals, going into people's homes, dealing with people who are dying, dealing with people who are sick and in pain. And I have been so impressed and so inspired so many times by people who you might think would be, sort of really depressed and have a good reason to be depressed, and their attitude and their way of dealing with their lives is so remarkable, and somehow they find humor where many people would think there is no humor to be found. And so I'm listening to this particular person who is talking about how depressed and so on, perfectly able-bodied, not sick, nothing wrong with him, but depression can be an awful thing, and if you allow it to it can grab hold of you, and it can, if you allow it, it just will take hold of you. So the only advice I can give for all of you out there, I mean, I've been depressed too. I've been in those situations. We've all been in those situations. But the remedy, unfortunately, we don't have Tinkerbell. You all know who Tinkerbell is, I'm hoping. We don't have Tinkerbell coming in to wave the magic wand and make everything better. We don't have, the magic fairy dust to make us our frown turn upside down, as they say. We don't necessarily have, people who are even our angels who are going to make things right for us if we ourselves are not prepared to work at it, or to change our attitude, or to make things better for ourselves. And so my advice, for what it was worth, and anybody can decide what my advice is worth or not, my advice is that you have to find joy where you can. So here I am last week with my darling boy who's sitting at the table. This is our time together, our vacation time together. And I'm helping him with his homework, and I'm looking at my daughter who's, head down deep in her work, and, having to do her stuff. And it could have been so easy for me to say, well, what kind of a vacation is this then, when, he's having to do all of this homework, 3 days worth of homework. It may not seem like a lot to some people, but he was on vacation and we were together, and I could have been very resentful of that. Instead of that, I have to say to myself every single day when I can look around and find the misery of the world, every single day when I can look around and see people who are suffering, every day when I can find something in my own life to be depressed about or to be miserable about, every single day, I have to say to myself, but what is good about this? And what is good about this is, we get time together in the pool. We get time for me to be cooking for him and making his favorite meals. I'm able to help Samantha and take the stress off of her. She doesn't have to be dealing with Reese as well as working. She's got me to help her. Every day we have to take our lives into our own hands, and we have to find, in the smallest of ways, it's not a big thing that we have to do. In the smallest of ways, we have to look, and we have to find some kind of joy. And this morning I got out of bed, and my back has been really messed up for the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I got out of bed this morning like a really old lady, which I refuse to be. When there's this wonderful poem I quoted in my 20s. I found this poem: "When I am old, I will wear purple." And I will walk along the streets. I will take a stick and run it along the railings and make as much noise as I can. And this poem, nobody quite knows who wrote it, but if you can find that poem, you know, I remember reading it in my 20s and being so inspired by this poem, and it made me laugh. When I am old, I will wear purple. In other words, when I'm old, I'll do as I please. And I remember reading this poem in my 20s thinking, yeah, well, hold on a minute, wait a minute. Why do I have to wait until I'm old? Why can't I wear purple whenever I feel like it, no matter what age I am? Why can't I do the things that bring me joy, that make me happy? Why can't I do these things? And I think that poem has been such an inspiration to me and has sort of made me realize in my 20s, wait a minute, I may never get to be old. I may not live long enough to be old. So why would I wait until I'm old to wear purple? Why not wear purple now? Why not dye my hair purple? Why not do the things that are frowned upon with our, you know, we frown on our children when they do things that, you know, are not necessarily, you know, making noise, running the stick along the railings, and some adult tutting at us. And you know, why do we have to wait? Being respectful of others, but why do we have to wait to wear purple? So I've never waited. I've worn purple, and you know that purple is just a colour. It could be yellow, it could be green, it could be anything at all that you know, we're perhaps not supposed to wear, or might be a little bit outlandish to wear. My grandson bought me a bag for Christmas. It's the biggest bag, and it's sort of more like a tote bag, but it's bright gold. And I wear it because why not? And people look at me and they think I'm crazy, and maybe I am crazy. It's really hard to find things inside it because it's just a great big thing that. But why not? Why should I not wear purple? And everything is attitude. And in March, we're going to be talking with my friend Al. We're going to be doing our Everything is Attitude show with Al. And we have Gary, my friend Gary, on as a guest, going to talk to us about how meeting his angel, and yes, an angel, how meeting his angel has changed his attitude. Now, he's always had a good attitude as far as I'm aware, but in our show, Everything is Attitude, is going to tell us about how he has really, meeting his angel, having that experience has really, really made him sit up and take notice. Life is short and life is for living. And so if you are sitting here and if you are feeling depressed or lonely and so on, I mean, I had Karen yesterday. I'm going to out you now.
Uh-oh.
And she put, you know, it's the first time in years that anybody bought me a Valentine card, and she's sobbing. Well, you know, so what? Put up with it. So it's life. I said last week or the week before, whenever it was Valentine's, I don't remember the last time I got a Valentine card, but I am not going to be miserable about it. I'm not going to be upset about it because, you know, I'm fully.
Those are happy tears.
They were not.
They were.
You were sad for all the years, and don't dig me in. Did you see that? Did you see that? See that? She did that in my side. But no, the only reason I'm bringing it up is that we all have things that we can be sad about, that we can moan and complain about. We all have things in our lives that aren't going right for us, and it's so easy for us to become so unhappy and depressed. So I have decided, right? So it's the end of February. We had Valentine's Day. We had lots of loving. I had lots of loving with my daughter and with my grandson while they were here. And we did, for all the fact that, you know, there was a lot of work and a lot of time spent doing stuff I'd rather not done for my kids. We had such a great time. And every time I think about my grandson, blessings abound within me. Every time I think of my daughter, blessings abound within me. She's such a great mother. She's an amazing mother. And, you know, so if you're sitting there by yourself and you've been feeling depressed, or you've been feeling lonely, or you've been feeling, you know, whatever it is that you've been feeling, I got up this morning and I could not walk straight. I could not walk straight. Am I right, Karen? Yeah. My back, damn thing that it is. Oh boy, does it hurt? Does it ever hurt? Anyway, it's been like this for a few weeks now. I'm not going to moan and complain about it, because I know that if I just can do certain things, sit down and rest for 5 minutes, or if I can just, you know, take my time about things, you know, I know that the pain will go away and I'll deal with it anyway. I've had to deal with it since I was 20 years old, when they took out my kidney and they took out a rib and they put some plastic bits in my back. And you'd never know. Look at me. See? Look at me. Would you ever know, seeing this, that my back is crooked for all of the surgeries, and I had 2 major surgeries, on and on. We can go on and on and on. Right. But I've never let it stop me, because I didn't listen so much to the poem, "When I'm old, I will wear purple." I decided, you know what, I'm going to wear purple anyway. Why do I have to wait until I'm old? Let's start now. So I've decided that March, this coming March, I want you all to wear purple. Now, I'm not really saying purple. I can hear some of you saying, well, purple's not my color. It makes my skin look awful. And so I'm not telling you to actually wear purple. I'm suggesting to you that this month, I want you to wear purple or yellow or green or whatever it is. I want you to do things that you have maybe thought, well, I can't, I'm too old for that, or that's childish. I'd love to sit on the swings and go and sit on the swings, but then those kids or people will look at me and they'll wonder, what am I doing? I want you to do things that you really would like to do, but because you are supposed to be responsible, or because you are supposed to be of a certain age, or because society dictates that you should wear a hat in church. Let me tell you, God doesn't care. He doesn't care if you wear a hat. I can tell you, he doesn't care. He cares that you're there, or you're worshiping, or in whatever way, if you don't go to church. He cares that you're thinking of him. He cares that you're talking to him. But there is no set rule or regulation as to what you should wear or how you should look. If you've always wanted short hair, but you think it doesn't suit me, just go and do it. Because when you're old, why wait until you're old to wear purple? So this March, this is what I'm going to do. I'm making an Irish stew because it's St. Patrick's Day on the 17th, my sister's birthday. I'm going to make an Irish stew. However, just let me point out to you, for all of you Irish people who are looking lovely, yummy, yummy, I wonder how Rosemary's going to make her Irish stew. For all of you who think I've never had an Irish stew, I've never made an Irish stew, that might be good. It's actually not really an Irish stew. I'm just calling it an Irish stew because in Ireland, they're famous for their Irish stew. My stew is not necessarily going to be Irish. Now, an Irish stew, and if you're listening and you're Irish, please write in and correct me. I'm happy for you to correct me, but a true Irish stew, as far as I'm aware, has a lot of root vegetables, carrots, and maybe perhaps sometimes people put potatoes, or they put parsnips or whatever. Not making that. I'm not going to make that kind of stew. However, we are going to put the recipe up. We're going to do that on, I think it's the 9th of March. And if you can't manage to be there on the day watching me, You can go to YouTube and you can find it. But my stews are pretty good, really. Yeah, I like my stews, and it's cold weather, so you might want to make an Irish stew, which is not an Irish stew. Anyway, it's a rosemary stew, developed over years and years and years and years and years, because I've been making stews forever and ever. But you know, we are going to have put some attitude into that Irish stew. We're going to put some positive attitude into that Irish stew. We're going to put some positivity into this month, into the month of March. So we're going to make the month of March Positivity Month. How about that? We're going to look for the joy in the simple things. We're going to, you know, yesterday I was sitting outside with Karen. We were having a little bit of sun, and a little bird came pecking on the screen, eating the bugs and so on, and it was such a joyful thing to watch. But only if you're looking for joy. If you don't look for it, you won't find it. I can tell you right now. So I'm shutting up now. So we're doing the Irish stew on Monday. We're doing Everything is Attitude with Alan. I don't know what date it is, but it's sometime in March. And we're going to make the month of March a positive month. Now, also, before I stop talking, Chris, I'm talking. Have you ever heard me talk this long at the beginning of a show, not letting anyone else speak? But we will be taking your questions in a minute. Yesterday, positive thinking. My friend Karen here said to me, will you show me how to cook liver? So I said, sure, I love liver. I know lots of people don't like it, but I love liver, and I love liver pate. I love liver in any form. So she had gone to the store and she came back with some liver. It was not the kind of liver that I would have chosen, but nevertheless, it was good. So I made liver and onions. And I said to her, when I'm getting the liver out, I said to her, how much of this will you eat? How much should I cook? How much will you eat? And she said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? How much would you like of it? Do you want a lot of it or a little of it? She said, I don't know, because I don't like liver. So, excuse me. Well, you know, I've only had it once and I don't really like it. But so why am I cooking it for you if you don't like it? Because I need protein and I've got to build up my muscles. And I said, well, couldn't you have chosen another kind of meat? No, because liver's got all these vitamins and all this stuff going on. And anyway, we made the liver and onions, right? And I'm showing her how to do this. And we made a delicious gravy to go with it. And I even made mashed potatoes. Yes, I made mashed potatoes for my friend, for her, liver and onions, because you can't have liver and onions without mashed potatoes. And so I said to Karen, I'm going to give you this piece. Just eat what you want and leave what you don't. And she ate the whole thing, right?
Yeah,
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was very.
See, positivity. Did you find joy in eating that liver and onions?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
How were your muscles today then? Did it make any difference? Anyway, so this is we've started our joy, happiness, and looking for joy in our lives to find reasons why, even if we are depressed, we have to acknowledge that there are things in life that truly can, if we look for them, we can truly find joy in life. Chris, are you
Yes,
there?
I am here.
I've stopped talking.
Do you need some water?
No, I'm good. No,
Okay.
I'm good. Although now you've mentioned it, yes, now you've mentioned it, but it's all about joy and happiness and understanding that every one of us has issues. We all have issues. We all have problems. And yes, of course, people become depressed. And yes, of course, people get so worked up and worried about the world and what's going on in the world. But if we don't find the joy and all we see is the darkness, why, what is the point? The point is that we have to make the most of and the best of the circumstances and the situations that we have and find the joy. I can tell you to find it. I can explain how necessary it is. We can talk about how necessary it is for the soul to feed the soul light and happiness and joy. We can talk about all of that, but it's only talking if you're not prepared to do the work yourselves. Chris, go ahead now.
Eric is on. He's saying he had cheesecake for his birthday.
Eric, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I did think about you on your day. Happy birthday, my darling daffodil man. Happy birthday to you. Eric is my daffodil man. He's been my daffodil man for, I've forgotten how many years. And I was thinking about you on your birthday, and it is your birthday week, don't forget. So you're entitled to celebrate every day of the week. We always have a birthday week, always. We don't just have one day. We have, which is why I made Reese Yorkshire pudding, and I made a special ground beef with sort of like Oriental style. It was so good, so good. We had it the other day, didn't we? Really, really, really good. And every day we celebrated his birthday by doing something special every day. So that's what you need to do. Okay, keep going.
All right. There were a number of comments about people loving the picture that you took that was taken of you at the airport of the family. And then some people, I think it was Cheryl, who said he's 12 already. It seems like yesterday when he was 8.
It seems like yesterday since he was a year old. It's sort of it's gone so fast. But I'm going to be going. Or another reason why we should make March a joyful month is because on the 15th of March, my darling boy is playing at Carnegie Hall for the 3rd time. So how great is that for us? So I'll be in New York, and I'll have someone staying at the house, and it's going to be great. It's going to be really, really great. We're going to have a great time. And again, he's playing at Carnegie. So, I mean, how lucky am I? Okay, keep going.
All right. Cheryl says we had our cat Merlin put to sleep on Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Was there someone to meet him as soon as he crossed? I still feel guilty and miss him so much.
Oh, I know exactly how you feel. It's the worst decision when we have our, and I love the name Merlin, by the way. When we have to make that decision, we make that decision out of love. We make that decision because we care enough to not allow any more suffering to go on with our beloved pets. And yes, of course, darling, he was met. Absolutely. Gregel is telling me absolutely yes. Why would you feel guilty? That you can feel, of course you can feel sad. I still, Kachura was my last to go. He was my heart. This puppy he was amazing. He was given to me by my really good friend Fred. He was amazing. And when Kachura was in his, when he was first born, my friend Fred, who's an animal trainer, would go and sit and watch the puppies to see what kind of character and so on. And he was sitting on a chair this particular day watching them play. And Kachura, this one little puppy, there were four puppies in the litter, this one little puppy was sitting by himself, not interacting with his brothers and sisters, not interacting with them, and was just sitting by himself. And Fred is looking at this little thing and he hears a voice as clear as day, Rosemary's dog. And of course, he ignores it because these puppies are worth a fortune. He ignores it. No. And the next time he went to sit with them, he heard again a little bit louder in his ear, "That's Rosemary's dog." And then it happened a third time, and he heard this voice really loud and clear in his head. Never had any experience like that before. And he was being told quite clearly, "That's Rosemary's dog." And so when I went over to see him, he told me what had happened. And all I could say is, "Look, I've got 2 dogs. I don't need any. Fred, I don't need another dog. I don't want another dog." And so I left the puppy there. He showed me the puppy, and I said, "Okay, fine. I've got 2 dogs. I can't handle another one." And I drove all the way home, which was a 2-hour drive. And when I got home, I was thinking about this little puppy all the way there. When I got home, I called Fred and said, "Okay, are you in tomorrow? I'm coming over." And he laughed and I laughed. And that puppy, I'm going to tell you, saved my sanity in a time when, talk about being depressed. Darling, you gave Merlin everything of yourself. You loved him, you cared for him. Don't feel guilty about having to make that decision. It's a horrible decision to make, but you should feel so proud of yourself that you were able to put Merlin's needs before your own, and that you did exactly the right thing for him. I had to do the same thing for Kachora. It broke my heart. I know that, you're feeling heartbroken, and I'm sure you miss Merlin dreadfully, but trust me, you did the right thing. Uh, and that's because you care so much. So don't ever feel guilty for that. Chris, keep going.
Judith says, I love the new glassware on the shelf behind Rosemary and Karen.
Well, it actually isn't new. It was on the top shelf, actually. So you probably couldn't see it before. And I'm slowly taking everything down. Probably next week you'll see all the shelves will be there. I'm taking everything down. I'm putting everything away because it's cleaning time and it's, redecorating time or whatever it is we're going to be doing. So it'll be back in its own place, but not until the middle of April. Yes. So anyway, but thank you. And it's actually not glassware. I've been all of those pieces behind you, and there are more that I've already put away. I've been collecting since I was 22 or 23 years old. It's called Meissen. It's the German version of Limoges. It's actually beautiful. I like it better because Limoges is a much lighter, pinker color, and Meissen is a much darker red. But yeah, I love it, and thank you very much for saying that. But yes, all of those things I've been collecting for so many years. I've got enough now. If anybody's thinking, "Oh, I could get that for Rosemary for Christmas," don't, because I've got more than enough. I can't do with any more. And I've also stopped collecting stuff. I've got too much stuff in my house. Chris.
Mark says, I have a question for Gray Eagle and you, of course.
Oh, go ahead.
When our loved ones come to visit you and speak with you, and you and Rosemary see them, do our loved ones see us too at the same time, as if they are here with us in our homes? They are lucky to be able to be present with you.
Yes, of course. Your loved ones only come to me and through Grey Eagle, because Grey Eagle is the one who helps them to communicate. But they come to us. They come to me not not because they want to talk to me necessarily. They come because they want to talk to you and to give messages to you. When we give consultations, I gave a consultation to a couple who was it yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, who are in Saudi Arabia. And yes, I do get people from all over the globe, from Singapore, from India, from you name it, all over the world. And when their loved ones, which they did join us, when their loved ones were there, they can see them in Saudi Arabia equally as clearly as they can see me. And of course, we're doing this on FaceTime, so everybody's participating. People in the spirit world, your loved ones in the spirit world, they will only come to me in order to get to you guys. So, and of course they can see your reactions, they can see everything that you're doing, and it's an amazing thing to watch the process. And again, we're talking about being blessed and finding the joy in life. I absolutely know how very, very blessed I am in order to be able to do that. Chris.
Gary says, lately, if something depresses or bothers me, I charge into it instead of letting it grow into something worse.
Oh, good. See, we love it. Tackle it head on. There are so many things, when people upset us or people say things to us that aren't particularly nice, or if someone sort of pushes us on the street or whatever it is, we do need to deal with these things as they happen and not allow them to grow and not allow ourselves to become bitter. However, just a little heads up, there are ways to deal with things. If someone is hurtful or mean to you, I would suggest not being hurtful and mean back, but be nice, just be kind. Let them know that that there's no need for meanness, and even though you're mean to me, I don't want to be mean to you. I'm just going to be a nice person and wish you a great day. There are ways to deal with these things, and I think the nicer and the kinder you are, sometimes it makes them even more angry and more upset. But that's their issue, not mine. I can remember I was on a beach once a few years ago. My friend and I were sitting there, and then these two women came and sat right in front of us, literally not even 2 or 3 feet in front of the beach. Was empty, by the way, and they came and sat in front of us, and then one of the ladies started smoking, and she was holding a cigarette away from her so that the smoke didn't bother her, but it was right in my friend's face. So this is not good. And you do have the whole beach to choose from. So I went up to her and I said, excuse me, I don't want to, don't mean to be rude, but would you mind very much holding your cigarette away from us? You're sitting so close to us and the smoke is coming into our eyes and it's choking us. Again, I realize, it's the beach. It's, you can sit anywhere you like, but if you wouldn't mind, and I said it so nicely and so gently. And this woman looked at me, and her friend, you could see her friend was just wanted to crawl into a hole and die. And her friend said to me, well, aren't you nice? Very sarcastically. And I just smiled at her and I said, well, I do try to be. And I really would appreciate it if you move your cigarette. And she didn't. So we eventually moved our chairs. I was half expecting her to follow us at this point. But there are, aren't you nice? And she meant it really sarcastically. And yes, I am. And I just said to her, well, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. And I do try to be nice when I can be. I just smiled at her, and poor friend was sitting there trying to crawl into a hole because of the bad behavior of this woman. But, if just be nice. If you've got something to say it. If you need to deal with it, deal with it. Try and be as nice about it as you can be. Sometimes it's not possible, but whenever possible, try to be nice and try to remember you don't have to bring yourself down to another person's level. Chris.
Annika says, I think it's all right to wallow in sadness and depression and let yourself truly feel it, but then you have to step aside and leave it.
Yeah, I always say that. I love that you said that, my darling, because, I am the best person, and I am so good at wallowing. I'm so good at moaning and being miserable. And sometimes I hear myself and it drives me nuts. I think, oh God, listen to me. I hate it. But at the same time, I'm so good at it. But when I start to listen to myself, it drives me insane, and I have to stop because I'm depressing myself with my moans and my complaints. So yes, of course, absorb, accept. I'm not sure wallowing is quite the right word, but yeah, I'm good at wallowing. But at some point, get up and move on, because otherwise you'll find yourself miserable, alone. But nobody wants to be with someone who's always finding fault with life and always wallowing in their own misery. It is depressing. It's depressing when I do it to myself. I depress myself, so I have to get myself out of it, which is what I was saying earlier. We have to, nobody else, other people can advise you. We can tell you what to do, but at the end of the day, the only person who's going to stop you from moaning and complaining is you. Chris.
Sarah says, I was given proof and now approved for Metis, Metis. Do I also have a spirit guide? If so, do you see who? And thank you for your assistance.
I don't know what Metis is.
I don't either.
So if she could explain that to me before I answer the question, I'm a bit in the dark about it. So, so you need to explain that before I can even begin to answer your question. Chris.
Barbara says, my son and family moved into a home recently and now have unusual activity and noises. Would Gray Eagle know if spirits are trapped there, and how can we help?
This is what you can do if you'd like. You can email the situation to me. I'm listening to Greg as I'm talking to him. Sorry, I'm seeming to be a bit slow, but I'm listening to Great Eagle. Not trapped. Not trapped, but there certainly is something going on. Maybe your son is a particularly sensitive person, or maybe whoever's in the house is particularly sensitive, and therefore is hearing or sensing in a way that they haven't before, because maybe the energy within the house is a strong energy. I don't see it. I feel from what Gregor tells me, I don't feel it's bad energy. But if you write to us, tell us the situation. We will deal with it we'll deal with it for you. We'll see what's going on, and we'll definitely either put a stop to it, or we'll suggest that how you can put a stop to it. That's what we can do. You also might consider, if you don't want to do that and you want to deal with it for yourselves, you might want to consider a cleansing. So you need a sage stick, and you need to light the sage stick. You don't need anybody else to do it for you. You can do it for yourselves. It's not a big thing to do, and you just light the sage stick. It hopefully won't go up in flames. It'll be smoke. It'll be smoke. And what you need to do is you need to go around the house and go into every corner of the house, and you need to, you know, to uh, talk to whoever might be there. Any of those uh, people in the spirit world who are coming to say hello to you, and you might want to sort of give a cleansing and a blessing to them, and hope that they are, you know, ask them to move on, and hope that they're going to be happy wherever it is they go, but ask them to move on, and just say a small prayer. Dear God, um, allow me to connect with you, allow healing in this house, allow me to join with you in giving healing to this house, and for all of those who may be in this house who maybe need help and guidance. And that's all you need to do. You don't need anybody special to do it for you. You don't need a shaman. You don't need anybody else. You can do it yourself. But if you write to us and tell us what's going on, you know, we can write back to you and sort of properly explain to you what it is that you might need to do. Or Gregor can just go in there, or we can go in together. He and I we do a lot of astral traveling together. We can pop in there and see what's going on and do our own way of cleansing. Chris.
Suzanne says, hello from the Netherlands. This
Hi.
is the first time I am able to catch the live stream and happy to be here. I read your books when I was a teenager many years ago because my mom had them on her shelf.
Okay.
Recently, I rediscovered them when I sat at my mom's deathbed. She passed away 1 month ago. Being here and rereading the books has given me great comfort. Thank you so much.
Oh, my darling, thank you for letting us know this. You know, you know, when you're a writer, when you do what I do, which is, you know, it's weird to say the least, right? We all know that it's a bit weird, but wonderful. It's weird and wonderful. We never quite know what effect we have on people, and we hope it's going to be good. We hope when I wrote my uh, first book, The Eagle and the Rose, uh, and I found out a couple of years later that it was so important to a young man that they when he was buried, they buried the book in the coffin with him, because it was such an important and inspirational book for him and helped him through his illness. I mean, it was wow, was it a revelation to me? And we never know quite, you know, how we affect other people. So it's always gives me great joy to hear that. First of all, your mother, who I'm sure probably dealt with her passing in a better way for reading the books, and I'm so thrilled that it's helping you to know that she's safe, that she's in a safe place. So thank you very much for letting us know that.
All right. The next is Gabby. And there were a number of people like Gabby who were talking about the color purple, or in some cases, they're using pink instead of purple. But Gab says, funny, I'm wearing purple today, and I've just recovered myself from a recent depression. Do
Well,
my angels, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. No.
Do my angels and guides have a message they want to give me through you? I'm hoping for help with moving my career forward, and that I'm focused on the correct career for me.
Right. Well, I'm giving you this message, and it's coming straight from Great Eagle to you. Wow. All right. So, uh, you know, there are no coincidences. And I had no intention of mentioning the poem this morning, and it just popped out of my mouth. So I feel that it's certainly for you and helping you, and I'm thrilled. The color purple is it's when you look at many churches, and you look at many I use the word religion loosely, many religious or spiritual organizations, the color purple inspires, and it's a very rich and a very royal and a very spiritual color. So when you wear purple, which has nothing to do with the poem, by the way, but when you wear purple, it's almost as if you're wrapping, if you think of it this way, I want you to think of it this way. It's almost as if you're wrapping this wonderful joy and love and spirituality around you, which comes in the form of the color purple. Of course, the color pink is the color of love, and so on and so forth. We in our tutorials we're going to be talking more about these things, but I want you to know that if purple is doing this for you, wear it more often, wear it with pride, but wear it knowing that what you're doing is the energy of purple is the energy of God. It is the energy of the Spirit. It is the energy of the pure joy of spirituality. And this means that you are going to move your career forward. I don't think you're going to change entirely, but you're going to move it forward. You're going to widen your scope. And I feel from what Grey Eagle tells me to tell you, you can do anything you choose to do. He says, wear a smile is what he's saying. Wear a smile, wear the colours with pride and with joy, not just purples, but any colour that makes you feel good. Because color, it denotes certain energy, certain types of energy. The color green is the color of peace and tranquility. The color of pink is love. The color of purple is, and on and on. And the color of blue, of course, is the color of healing. So wear these colors, knowing that when you wear them, you're drawing this wonderful, incredible, beautiful energy to you, which means that you are strong, that you are powerful, you are spiritually strong. And you can do anything you choose to do. So that's a message from Grey Eagle. Okay, Chris.
Rhonda says, Rosemary, I work with a lot of young, wonderful people. Whenever I say I'm too old for this or that, they always tell me, you're never too old to do or change anything. Just do it. They are such an inspiration to me, and I adore them.
Well, I think, Rhonda, I think that's wonderful. And you have all these beautiful people telling you this. You mean I'm an old lady now. I'm going to be the first one to tell you I'm such an old lady. Having said that, I'm never going to grow old. Physically, I might have more wrinkles. Physically, my back is getting worse. Physically, I might feel, sometimes like, and as I said to somebody on the phone the other day, we were discussing this guy's coming to do some work with me. We were discussing, and I said, look, you have to remember I'm a decrepit old lady. I'm happy to admit that I'm a decrepit old lady, but the truth of the matter is I'm never going to be decrepit. My body might become worn. My brain is never, my mind, my brain, my heart, my soul. No way am I an old lady. I might wear purple later, but you never know. I'm not going to be old ever. It's never going to happen to me because everything is attitude. And I'm so glad that you have these young people to remind you. I'd like to wear purple at some time this week, even if it's only a little purple scarf or a little purple handkerchief. Chris.
This is from Linda.
How do you do?
Rosemary, I'm at a crossroads right now, and seeing that you're having this session now brings me a little hope. I've lost my job. I'm confused as to whether to stay in Florida or move to New York to be with my family. It's just been a really tough couple of months. Would you possibly have any insight as to where I'm heading?
Up is where you're heading. That's what Craig says. Up. You're heading up. Okay, you've lost your job. Well, was it a great job? Did you really, really love it anyway? Often we see tragedy, and it can, if we allow it, it can break us. But trauma, the word trauma, let's look at the word trauma, because losing your job is definitely traumatic. I'm not sure if any of you realize, but the word trauma simply means change. And sometimes we have to go through the trauma, the change, and the trauma being the hardship of it in order to, sort of find what it is that we're meant to do and to live our lives. I can't tell you not to move from Florida. I'd love to know where you are, because maybe we could get together. I'm in Florida too. I can't tell you not to move to Florida or to go to New York, but I can tell you, when you understand, it's almost as if you're on a precipice, okay? And you've been pushed, no doubt, to this precipice, losing your job, circumstances, etc., etc. Here you are, you're on the edge. You can be on the edge and fall down, or you can be on the edge and fly up. I think you are going to fly, and it doesn't matter where you're going to be. It doesn't matter whether you're Florida or New York, doesn't matter. I feel from what Grey Eagle tells me that you are going to fly. You're going to find something. It's only been 2 months, you told me. Give it time. Don't, try not to worry. Don't make any sudden moves or decisions. Take your time. You have time. Take your time. And I think you're going to find something. I think that being on the edge of this precipice, oh, it's got to be scary, because you're looking down and seeing all the awful things that would happen. And so you're obviously gravitating to family because you feel that they will save you. Your family, whether you move to New York or not, your family won't save you. You're the one who's going to save you. You're going to find something fabulous and wonderful and bright and joyful. Just trust. Find the joy. Yes, we've got plenty to be pressed about. All of us have things that we look at and we, oh gosh, we're all afraid. We're all afraid of the future. We're all afraid of, what ifs. But I said to Karen yesterday about something else entirely. Do not let the fear mongers, because boy, are they ever out and about these days, putting the fear of God, putting the fear of trauma. I mean, what did you say to me? Trump's going to take over Canada? No, he isn't. But people are making these stupid comments, because fear is what can control people. Fear is what controls us through COVID. Don't let fear stop you, my darling, because you are brave and you are strong and you will get through this. And I believe that from what Greg tells me, you are going to fly. There you go. Chris.
All right, we're coming right up on the hour. This one is from Joanna. Sending you love and light. I wanted to share my experience of shifting to another time and place. I was walking on a busy city street when I was 16. In an instant, I put my head up. I was in another time. No settlement here, just plain grass and trees. No buildings, no cars. It lasted a few minutes. When I put my head back down, I was back in my loud urban reality. Have you ever time shifted while awake? I've never understood this experience. I have many experiences to share with you, but this one stands out.
Oh, how fantastic. And yes, of course. I've moved. When I'm in an audience of people, and if I'm just talking to someone with a consultation, you need to read my books. There's a phrase that I use. I've never heard anybody else use it. And I'm not sure that anybody else even fully understands, but remember I'm fully awake. I'm in an audience of people. I can remember Canada, a man whose entire family, or half of his family were unfortunately died in the fire. And as I'm talking to him, and there's an audience of about 2,000 people, as I'm talking to him, this is what happens with me. You say you lifted your head up, and I get that. But what happens to me is it's almost as if I'm going back. So here is my physical body. Everybody can see it. But my spiritual body, my etheric body, is going back, and then it sort of goes back and down. And the only way I can describe it is going back and down and through the hole or the tunnel or whatever it is you want to call it. But I describe it as going back and down and through the tunnel and through the hole. And I've written about this many, many times. And I'm back in a time. I can either go back in time or forward in time. And I can see and hear every single thing. In this case, with this guy in Canada, I was in his house. I was with him. I stood watching him. I stood looking at the angel who was there holding two of his children. There were 4 children in the house. And as I looked at her, she said to me quite clearly, she said, 2 will come with me and 2 we will leave behind. And there were 2 children who died in that fire. Not that I knew it at the time, but when I described everything to this man, he understood everything. I watched him as he ran through the house. I watched him hold the door handle. He put his hand on the door handle, which burned his hand, but he didn't care. He was trying to save his children. He didn't care. And he heard a voice, leave it. And for a moment he paused, and then he moved on to the next room and the next room and the next room, trying to save his family. The room that the angel had said to him, leave it, was the room that the 2 children had already died through smoke inhalation. Time is an incredible thing. Time is it has a whole different meaning in the spirit world. But they don't use the 24-hour clock, in other words, because that's a human thing, isn't it? We humans made the 24-hour clock. So do I travel? Am I conscious? Have I been aware? Very, very much so. And I think that it's amazing that you've had this experience. And once you have an experience like this, you talk about when you were younger, you never forget it, do you? It is right there, and it doesn't matter what anybody says to you, it happened. So thank you for sharing that with us today. I think we can safely say that time is up. So I'd like to say thank you to all of you for watching. I'd like to say thanks to Chris, of course. I'd like to say thank you to Karen, you didn't say anything today, but anyway, that's it, because I've done more talking today than I usually do. Sorry about that. Anyway, I want you to think about what I've said. I want you to think about March. We're coming up to March. Can we make March a happy month? Can we make March the spring of our old age? Can we make March the spring of our joys and our happinesses? Can we make March that month of finding the joy? And I say to people, look, people say, well, it's hard, I can't do it, it's too hard. And I say to my students, it's easy when it's easy, not so easy when it's hard. But that doesn't mean it's not impossible. So I want you, even when it's hard, to find every day a little joy, every day a little light, every day a little sunshine. And by all means, come and join me when I make my Irish stew. It isn't an Irish stew, but it's celebrating St. Patrick's Day. Why not? And we're going to have a fabulous month. My grandson is playing at Carnegie. How can I not have a fabulous month? And I just want you all to sort of shift your attitudes just a little bit towards positivity rather than negativity. And I hope that by doing that, you will have as great a March as I know I am going to have. Where I'm having it, Karen's leaving on Monday. When she's gone, I'll start being happy. No, just kidding. Just I'm lying to you. It's not true at all. Anyway, so if you can, at all this month, I have a request of you. Please, don't wait till you're old to wear purple. If you can, wear purple. When I'm old, I will wear purple. If you put that into your browser or whatever it is, you can find what else this old lady decides to do when she's old. And I've refused to wait until I've been old. I've done so many joyful things. I've danced through the streets at midnight. I've sung. I've laughed. I've cried. I've enjoyed stuff. We've had such a blessed life. And I want you to share in some of that joy and that blessedness. Don't think you can't do something because somebody tells you you can't. You can do anything you want to do if you decide to wear purple or pink or blue or green or whatever it is. Thank you for joining me. Thank you all. Thanks to Chris once again, and particularly thank you to Grey Eagle. Please, everybody, have a very blessed rest of the day and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.